I have a very limited experience when it comes to romance animes. Obviously, besides the romance that you might see in a movie that's here and there, but it's not the primary vocal point of what I'm watching. I think in my whole life, I've only predominantly seen two romance animes, and the only one I could really remember is Ouran Host Club, and that show was peak. No matter what, I will go back there and watch Ouran Host Club again because I actually love that anime. I don't know what it was, but I always had this stigma when it came to me watching or reading romance anime or manga. It was just the main issue of the will they won't they, and I don't want to see that for at least 400 chapters. And even reminds me of Abbott Elementary, where I watched that for a few seasons, and from seasons 1 through 3 that was like a will they won't they, and that already was kind of getting me irritated, so I can't fathom the idea of me going through and watching a will they won't they for 400 plus chapters. I may actually just jump off. Then there's also just the idea of they literally are in a relationship, but we're just not gonna put a title on it so we can just continue the will they won't they, or continue the nonsense of like, oh, are you gonna be my boyfriend, or are you my girlfriend? Am I gonna have to rent you my girlfriend? But that's always been a funny topic for me because I've always loved it when I've seen it in any other TV show or movie, and I'm like, okay, this is a good breakdown of a relationship, this is pretty cool and dandy. But then when it comes to me watching one, it's like, nah, I'm not doing that. But post time skip to my brother, I'll just name him Spider 2 Man because that's his name on Discord. Spider 2 Man himself suggested a romance anime to me that was coming out that was gonna be a Netflix exclusive called The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. I already peeped that this was coming out and I thought about doing it, but I was like, I don't really think so. But he kind of made me think about doing it. I was like, fuck it, why not? Also, it's been pretty depressing on his fucking channel. Not just talking about the views, but just depressing shit that we've been talking about in general. Also, he's a person that watches and reads a lot of romance novels or manga as well as anime. But then again, he read Rent a Girlfriend. So what does that fraud know? Anyways, so what I think about The Fragrant Flower That Blooms with Dignity? It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It felt like it was a nice surprise delving into certain topics, whether we're talking about family, self-worth, having a supporting group, as well as learning to change. While understanding people are going to be there for you even when you do make mistakes, it cannot just be the end of the world. If they love you, they're going to stay around and be there for you. But before I get ahead of myself, let me at least get into the story thing. So the story basically starts out with 3 people that we get to find out is Rintaro's friend group that stars Sotaro, Saku, as well as Ayato. Now they're basically about to get bullied by this group of people, and they're like not really scared or phased, and then Rintaro comes up and he just has a scary looking face towards these people, and they just run away completely. So they're just like showing us how Rintaro, 1, usually scares other people by the way he looks, and 2, has a core friend group that he has in the school. And as we slowly go through the day, we also see that there's also another school next to their school that is a female only school that's named Kyoto High School, with only these girls in there that are pretty much snooty or bitchy to the other boys that are there. But then again, the boys themselves admit that they are meatheads themselves, and it's established they never really talk about each other because they think negatively about each other while even knowing each other. But the story sets this up for us because we slowly cut to Rintaro, where he's in a cake shop because he has to help out his family that sometimes is short staffed at times, and he finds out this girl that usually always eats there is from that high school too, and they kind of hit it off a little bit. And that's why in this story, because I really want to get into these characters. Let me first start off with the main character himself, Rintaro. Now Rintaro, I love him so much. He reminds me of what my dad used to call me, a gentle giant. With Rintaro being a really nice guy while he's in school, but the issue really being when he's not in school, he's looked at and feared as a really scary person just from the way he looks. Really giving a real Shrek vibe to it. Rintaro has layers, but that not being his MO at all. Rintaro has a really solid friend group. He has a mother that supports him that I'll definitely get into later, and even him just helping out the family business whenever he can once he gets off of school. But with all these positives, Rintaro also has negatives that are about himself, whether it be what I talked about earlier about him being too scary for some other people and him not really being able to establish some other connections or relationships with other people outside the people in his classroom because he just looks that scary. With him, this has always been a thing ever since he's been a kid. He's never really established a relationship or friendship with anybody because of how he looked, which is not only extremely sad but also extremely detrimental to someone as a kid. Him not having friends, or him having a childhood of like, oh my goodness, I went to this friend's house, we played XYZ game, or hey, I went to the park and I made some more friends. Just nothing. And with that leads Rintaro down a very dangerous and scary path, the path of not having a lot of self-worth. So this leads Rintaro to have the mentality of thinking, hey, it's always kind of my fault and gives up way too easily. And without that spark, it makes sense why Rintaro is in the position he is. It makes sense why he's in a school full of delinquents and he doesn't really well in school, because without people you can be led down a dangerous path when you're by yourself in your own thoughts. Sometimes you can make some dangerous decision makings, and decision makings that are, if not checked, can be either the end of your life or just the start of the end of your life. But as the show goes on, gladly to see Rintaro slowly starts to gain a really good friend group they can call a family. One of the biggest pauses that Rintaro really had in his life was actually his mother, Kyoto. Kyoto was an amazing character to see once we get later into the season itself, of us seeing that Kyoto really cares and pays attention to Rintaro and sees that he's not happy, and even when he tells her, I'm not really happy, no one really wants to be my friend because of the way I look or the way I am, when Rintaro actually gives a request to do something, which he never really does because no one really wants to do anything with him, once he gives a request of, hey, I want to kind of dye my hair and get piercings, not only does she allow a little boy to do this, she also herself dyes her hair and obtains piercings herself to fully support her child. And if Rintaro knows it or not, she is always there for him no matter what. Something I also wanted to bring up as well when it came to this show, of how much prejudice is in this show when it comes to not only the looks of Rintaro and how he is as a person, but also how the two schools, with the boy school as well as the girl school, how they view each other, and how not only does that actually blur the lines when it comes to the terms of Rintaro's relationship with his friend group, but how he wants to kind of go forward with him talking to this new girl that he's very fond of. Because at first he wants to keep it a secret that he's even talking to this girl or even having conversation with this girl. It's not like they're in a full-blown relationship as of now, but they are having conversations and they are talking. And the thing is, with his friend group, they just keep talking down upon these girls that are on this other school because they keep talking down about them. And it just puts a huge spotlight on Rintaro in his thought process of, oh, his friends don't really like these girls, so I'm just never going to bring it up and keep it as a secret and bottle it up because I know that they wouldn't like it. And that feels like a conversation piece just in general when you do have your friends, and how usually if most of us just don't like something, there might be one or two people that actually like whatever the subject or person is, but they're never going to say because everyone else doesn't like it. They don't have that backup or feeling of comfort. If I have a different opinion than the other person, it feels like I might get ostracized from the group, or people will look at me differently or not the same as I was before just because I have a different opinion or I like different things than the other people inside the group. So sometimes the person might just shut down or not really talk about it. Then there's also the character of Subaru and her prejudice. Now Subaru is the best friend of Karuka, which is basically the main love for Rintaro. But what comes to Subaru and her prejudice, it goes way beyond just the idea of, oh, the kids at the other school are just really annoying or the boys there are really weird. She just doesn't like men in general. She just despises men because as a kid she was bullied by these guys just for how the way she looked and how the way she was, leading her to have an innate nature of just not liking men at all, just hating them point blank period, and kind of just wanting to protect her best friend in any way, shape, or form possible. So that's why when she finds out that her best friend is really talking to Rintaro, she wants her to get away from Rintaro. She doesn't really want her to be around Rintaro whatsoever, because not only does she not trust men, she just wants to protect her best friend from not getting hurt or not being with her, because it does feel like she actually loves her because of how close they were as kids and how she basically protected her even when she was a kid herself and her getting bullied. But she oversteps her bounds when she actually attempts to talk to Rintaro to say, stop talking to my friend, and her not letting her friend have the option of not talking to this person anymore, really being controlling if anything. I feel like if Subaru was a lesson for anything, it would just be about having boundaries and letting your friends do other things that are A, without you, and B, letting them make their own decision makings, because they are their own people. You can't really control them with you letting them making their own life decisions, because it's their life. They're going to make mistakes, they're going to mess up, and they're going to be okay. And if they do have a mistake or they do mess up, you will be there to help them out. And if not, then just be happy for them with what they're doing, because they're making a good choice for their life. Then there's the girl herself, Karuko. Now Karuko herself, she's a really nice person, where she gives second chances just like to her best friend or childhood best friend. She gives a second chance to her even though she does like a pretty big mess up. She lets Rintaro kind of be himself and actually make him a better person in the long run. She's like a little ball of sunshine that's a completely understanding person when it comes to just people in general, and is not one to just give out that prejudice. She's the opposite of what everyone else is, and it's like everyone is attracted to that that she's actually a good person and kind of is helping everyone else for the betterment. Another kudos to the chef or the author I would like to say that I want to give this person is that they do a really good job with relationships. And now I'm not talking about just boyfriend girlfriend, I'm talking about relationships in general, whether it be father and mother, or we're talking about just friends in general with friend groups, or just boyfriend girlfriend. This person does a excellent job of just kind of describing that or making it feel similar or really close to just people in real life, making me super interested in the cast, whether it's about Rintaro's family, or his friend group, or his girlfriend that he's doesn't really have a title for, but we'll just call them boyfriend and girlfriend, making it feel like it's just a great watch right now. So I'm definitely gonna continue to finish it. I don't know if I'll do a follow video, depends on how everyone kind of views this video or what they think, but I do also want some suggestions for some more romance animes, I guess, but it might not be no fucking bullshit like Retro Girl if I'm not trying to hear that nonsense. But other than that, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next